So you guys are developing and have developed a bunch of courses. Do you want to talk about some of those courses and who they're for?
Sure, sure. Some of these are still in development. We've got a course on corporate vision that we call Align and Execute that's ready to go. We haven't marketed it yet, but we intend to shortly. So we, again, feel that it's so important, large business or small, that the person that's the owner, the CEO, the entrepreneur, has the great and compelling vision. And so we have a course that is over 6 segments that help a CEO walk through how to do that. One of the things we've learned is that CEOs often want to see visioning as a check off the box event. We believe that that's wrong, that it should be a part of a great process. And that's challenging, especially if you're already up and running and you think, well, I have a vision. Why do I need to do this? Or I don't know that I really need a vision. So why would I take the time? And so our first segment, if you will, says, hey, let's talk about why this is so important and how you can find the time to do it, because we acknowledge that you're probably already way busy. It would be ideal if everybody had a great vision before they launched their business and started with that foundation in place. We find that generally doesn't happen. They're already up and running, and we need to challenge their vision, help them make it more compelling, and help them realize what a great piece of running a great company, having a great vision is. And we have great case studies of Bill Kelleher at Herb Kelleher with Southwest Airlines, with Walmart and some others, where Sam Walton created this great vision for his organization and then was a great evangelist for it. So that's one course. Another course we have is on financial management, where the first piece of this is demystifying your financial statements. What we find with most small business CEOs and owners is they are not CPAs, they're not accountants. For them, bookkeeping and accounting is a necessary evil. Therefore, they are at risk of either having poor financials or, heaven forbid, having a bookkeeper, somebody take advantage of them and even abscond with the funds. There's all kinds of risks that are involved if you don't do it right. And so we have that basic demystifying course that builds into some deeper levels of thought, where a CEO can then say, okay, I know the right questions to ask those who prepare my books. I know where we're going. I understand industry comparatives. This strengthens their ability to be a great financial leader of their organization. So that's the second one. The third one that is underway and not completed yet is on our recruitment process. But our intention is to build courses in all levels of that business except pyramid. We certainly will bring our own expertise to the table, but we will also draw on our what I've called earlier in the interview today, faculty members, those who bring expertise beyond our own, so that we can strengthen these courses and make them available to those who would like to learn from them.
No, I think that's really great. I'm curious though. I like, it's maybe this is a stupid question, but because I think everybody can learn something and there's always something to improve personally, professionally, etc. But is there like some telltale signs that a company really needs to reach out to somebody like yourself? Or is it kind of everybody could benefit? Or when should somebody reach out to a coach like yourself?
Well, you might not be too surprised that I would say I think all of us need coaches, people that will give us additional perspectives and help us grow in whatever role we're playing in life. I believe in that very strongly. I've certainly been a beneficiary of some great coaching and continue to be. So generally, I think, yes, it fits everyone. However, what I have learned is that those who resonate with what we do at CEObuilder are lifelong learners. They don't feel like they've ever arrived, and so they're not put off or challenged by new questions. In fact, they expect it, they want it, and they're always looking to improve. That Kaizen concept again of continuous improvement. Uh, if they come to what we do without that, they're not going to be part of our long lived clients, the 11-year plus people that we worked with over the years. Um, you have to have kind of that seed of I want to always learn. It's interesting though, when I say that probably 80% of our clients over the years are not what I would consider to be readers. Now, some of them will listen to audiobooks. Uh, they may have a book on their phone, Kindle or whatever. But they generally, if they have one thing they're listening to or one thing they're reading, that's about it. Uh, Part of the allure of CEO Builder for them is that both my business partner and I generally will read 4 or 5 business books a month. Um, that is challenging to say the least, but I will also be honest, I love to read and study. And so as a result of that, I try to stay on the bleeding edge, if you will, of what literature is out there in the business area. The Harvard Business Review, multiple books. I can share several of them with you that I'm reading right now. Um, these allow me to improve the nature of my questioning and my help for these folks, and they begin to rely on me as kind of their filter, if you will, of the things that they ought to be thinking about, and even some of them will read some of these. So one of the advantages that I think draws people to our organization is that they know that this is dynamic. We're not resting on our laurels. This isn't Rich Tyson saying, I learned something at the Harvard Business School in 1976 that is exactly applicable today. Some of those core principles may be, but by and large, you've got to keep learning. And so our best clients are lifelong learners. But in saying that, I don't want to imply that they have to be reading 4 or 5 books a month. That's critical to us as we are looking to grow our organization, build more coaches in. One of the first questions I ask of a candidate to be a coach, work with us, is what are you reading right now? What did you learn from it? How can you help me? Should I be reading that book if I haven't already? Coach me on what I need to know. And that's a pretty sobering question for someone who does not enjoy learning and isn't constantly doing it.
Interesting. The one thing, and I kind of want your thoughts on this, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, is I've worked for people before, CEOs, that they're lifelong learners. They love learning. They're constantly reading books. And the one downside that I've seen some of them do, not all, is today they read something and it has to be implemented, and they're full bore towards that new concept or idea. And then tomorrow or in a week or two, they read something that's different, and it's stop what we were doing for the last week. Now I read something new. It's full bore on this new idea. And they end up just like chasing their tail because they're always reading new ideas and trying to hit this moving target with before even really trying out one new idea that may or may not work. How do you work with CEOs to basically not do that? Because I think that can make your employees disengage and potentially move on if it's always this mad scramble and there's never really a focus and direction of a company.
That is a great question, and I'm so glad you asked. I call it flavor of the month syndrome.
Yeah.
And it is real. And what we try to do with that is be encouraging that they read and study and learn, but we also ask for their permission to challenge them on how they're going to use what they're learning. Sometimes the answer to that may be, hey, this is good enough that you ought to start working on that right now. To give you an example, I think it's Michael Calowitz's book, Profit First. That is a concept of setting aside some money in an account that you're not going to touch so you build a buffer against a tough day, or even a bonus system for you in your company. Everybody ought to probably do that right away. I wouldn't hesitate to have anybody go ahead and do that. On the other hand, there are a whole variety of concepts that the very best thing I could suggest is, let's think about where that fits and see in what context and when you might consider doing something of that. I had a meeting earlier this morning where I was being encouraged to do something that I said, look, for me, I'm kind of in the client mode. I like what you're suggesting, but it doesn't fit right now. Let's put it on the back burner until August or September of the year. We'll take another look at it, but let's not get ourselves off track by pursuing something before it's merited. And so one of the reasons you want to have a business coach, a mentor, somebody to work with you, is to challenge you on those things before you immediately go rushing off through them. And I see it, Kevin, all the time. The flavor of the month thing is there. Lifelong learners are susceptible to it. But at the same time, if you have somebody to ask you good questions, to help you decide where it fits, to customize your thinking again so that it's the learning you need right now, as opposed to, well, this is just another great thing to do. I got to check off all the boxes of what I ought to be doing. Everything should be open to reasonable questioning. I'm not talking about, just bagging on your ideas, but rather to say, okay, if you did this now, it takes you off something else, does it not? Is this really something you want to do? Is this part of your core cause in your business, or is it a tangent? And those are legitimate, deliberative questions that ought to be asked. We meet in our core model with every CEO for a couple of hours every month, and I keep a running record, if you will, written record of what we've talked about. I take copious notes when I'm with them so that I can say, okay, well, we were talking about this a month ago. You read the book, you decided to do this. Tell me more. How does that fit with what you're doing? And so I think the combination of continuous learning with the coaching is the best and most valuable model that any CEO, any entrepreneur could have.
No, I 100% agree with you. It's nice to have somebody to be accountable, because I think, especially as a CEO, when you're at the top, sometimes it can be kind of lonely, right? And sometimes, depending on who's under you, they may or may not feel comfortable enough to tell you what they really think, right? And I think adopting a culture where somebody that just started day one, or somebody that's been with you years or decades, can give you their honest opinion, and you can have a conversation about whether you want to change things or not, I think is really, really important. And I think it's really scary being a leader to openly admit that, like, you can be wrong, or you should be challenged, or like, if you see something that we could do better, like, bring it to my attention. A lot of employees don't feel comfortable bringing that up to leadership and or the CEO, right?
Right. In fact, again, you hit on a key point that we work on all the time with our CEOs. I don't care whether you're a mom and pop organization and it's just you and your wife, or if you have a company with hundreds of employees. If you are the boss, if you're the CEO, what you say, even if you say it softly, resonates most loudly. And so it becomes so critical that you manage the process of how you build the strategic content of your organization. Yes, your ideas are absolutely essential, no question about it. But if you always present first, even in a soft voice, generally speaking, probably 9% of the time or more, everybody will agree with you because you're the boss. And then you don't get the best ideas from everyone else. So the process of how you work on decisions and strategies becomes so essential, that you start with your own questions of your people, that, hey, we've been doing business this way. What do you see that we could do better? Or I've read something recently, but before I share anything with you, I would like to know what you think about thus and so. Or perhaps even, I need you to read this book yourselves and then give me your feelings on how it fits within our context. It takes some real effort to rein yourself in and not to tell everybody the way it's going to be. And then so often what I see when that happens is then you blame others when you say, well, they just don't give me their best ideas. They don't take ownership for what we're doing. Unfortunately, too often the answer is you didn't give them ownership. Your process puts your ideas out first, and they're going to go with that. Your boss. So you've got to back off and try to manage yourself, try to become more of a coach, more of a facilitator within the context of your own organization. If you want the best ideas of people that work for you, you've got to empower them to give it. And if you don't do that, they're going to, I was going to use the word stonewall. I think that's too heavy, but they won't tell you.
No, I think that's actually really good advice. We're kind of coming to the end of the show, but is there any other advice that you would give to a CEO or leadership that you see maybe all the time that you either would wish they would do more of or stop doing? It's not really helping them?
Well, it's kind of embedded in everything we talked about, Kevin. I believe that you need to have a trusted source of coaching, counseling, questioning, helping you. Trust is hard won. It takes a while. Every new client that we get, we work very hard on the front end to build that trust, to let them know that we are really in your court. We want to backstop you. We want to help you. We want to understand what your needs are. And again, those that are most current, most hot, keeping you up at night, making you feel lonely at the top, let's identify them and let's go to work on them. We realize that, even with all the years of business and Harvard MBAs and all the rest, none of that buys anything unless we can build a relationship of trust. I think that's also a good model for CEOs with their people. I've been a turnaround CEO several times in my career, things that I didn't share with you in the resume. When I came in, rather than be the kind of know-it-all Harvard MBA, I've got all the answers, what I did was I spent a good month talking to every person in the organization and getting acquainted, building trust, and then saying, okay, I didn't come in here with a whole list of answers. I've looked at the financials, this company's in trouble. But I didn't come with any answers to begin with. I have questions for you. Please tell me what you see and how you would fix it. Often I had employees say, really? You want to know what I think? I said, absolutely. I'm going to put you on the hot seat a little bit. Please tell me what you would do if you had my responsibility here. By doing that, I built trust, I built buy-in, and when I did come back and say, okay, here's what I'm thinking about doing, what do you think? I got support for it. Now that may sound like, well, gee, you're sure a softie in terms of how you're approaching it. No, these, in my opinion, are hard skills that allow you to succeed. We're far better off if we can build trust and buy-in. And that goes for CEOs as readily as it does for me as a CEO coach.
No, I agree. And I remember distinctly going to one of the owners of a business that I worked for a number of years ago. And I don't even remember what it was. And I don't even remember the outcome. It was just, I went to him and I said, I really think we should be doing X. And he was like, you know what? Okay, I hear you. I think it's a really good idea. I need to talk to my business partner. And you know what? We'll get you, give me a couple days. We'll get you an answer, yay or nay, in a couple of days. And I don't remember what I asked or what the thing was, but what I remember about that is it almost didn't matter at that point, whether you got a no, because you would have an explanation why you got the no. Right. And I think in a lot of cases, that's all people want, is to understand why they're told, yes, we can do this, or no, we can't do this because of X, Y, and Z. Right. And that really always resonated with me. And I still have huge respect, and I've kept in touch with that person, and I haven't worked for him in probably 15 plus years, right? Like, it's stuff like that that I think employees really remember.
I agree with you. And what he did for you, I believe, is validated you in the sense that not necessarily you had the idea that was going to solve a problem, but that you cared enough to bring an idea, and he cared enough to give you that sense of validation that, hey, I appreciate that. Let me run it up the ladder. Let's see what we might do with it, and I'll get your answer. Uh, Too often, employees are treated as if just stay in your lane. Don't do anything else, and I make the decisions. I wish it wasn't that way. That is so old school that it shouldn't even have been in the old school. It's wrong, but I guess human nature sometimes causes us to do those things. Sometimes that's a function of the big ego of the guy in charge. Sometimes I think it's just not understanding that, hey, if you validate others, they will continually bring things to your attention, help you solve problems. You get more out of them.
No, I 100% agree with you. But sadly, we're out of time. So how about we close with mentioning where people can get more information about you, CEObuilder, and any other links you want to mention?
Sure. Well, you can go to our website. That is www.ceobuilder, all one word, .com. That'll give you more information about us. I don't mind if your listeners reach out to me directly, Rich at CEObuilder.com. We also have a YouTube CEO Builder channel where if you'd like to learn more about some of my business philosophies and so forth, we just started that a year ago, August, but we probably have 80 to 85 videos on there. They're all short, 6 to 10 minutes, and give you the opportunity to learn more about us too. We're not a hard sell organization, but we love meeting new people. And if you find some interest in what you and I talked about today, or take a look at the YouTube channel or our website and would like to get in touch with us, we'd love to hear from you. And we always are open-minded to comments that are contrary to what we believe. That's how we learn as well. So we would invite that also.
Perfect, Rich. Well, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to be on the show, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, Kevin. I sure appreciate the opportunity. Look forward to chatting with you more in the future.
Me as well. Thank you. Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening. Please visit our website at buildingthefutureshow.com to join the free community, sign up for our newsletter, or to sponsor the show. The music is done by Electric Mantra. You can check him out at electricmantra.com and keep building the future.